Hi, I'm Jonathan, the second affirmative for the issue on whether or not the U.S. should send ground troops to Syria. And I fully support America's idea of sending ground troops because we need to end this war as quick and more effectively as possible so no more American casualties can be taken. Now I'll say three things in my speech on why. First, that about the U.S. raids. Second, about who will fight in the war. And then third, about how the humanitarian for America, how we are the single biggest donor to aid the Syrian rebels. So first, I'm going to say that the current U.S. policy is effective. As Nick here has clearly stated that the U.S. raids have killed 2 people in Syria, but that is clearly not the idea because the U.S. has 0% collateral, which means that we're not responsible for the deaths in Syria. Because as you already have hopefully learned that it's usually the Assad regime that they've killed more innocent Syrian civilians than America has combined. And the evidence is the Islamic State has lost 25% of its territory, 10% since the beginning of 2015, deliberately targeting AIDS and a 0% collateral policy. Their Azul oil facility was destroyed, and it's accounted for 2/3 of ISIL's oil revenue. I can clearly say that the oil revenue in Syria is a major broker. That's what makes them who they are. And you figured if the oil can be wiped out altogether, this will show that the Assad regime and the Syrians that want to make this into World War III will have no chance, and it'll show that Americans aren't just pushing daisies, that we're going to show them what Americans are made of. And I, for one, will show that we mean business. Second, if America doesn't fight, who will? And that is Iran and Russia. Iran because they have a malign influence, and Russia because, as being Americans' cousins, this will show that their influence will be greatly on us, but no influence on them, because they are the second biggest country in the world. And once you figure about like the billions that live in Russia versus the tens of thousands that live in Syria, the Syrians' outlook has no chance of being the U.S., Iran, and Russia all combined. So this is basically the triangle of strength, showing that this is a strength in numbers. Third, the modern Syrian opposition is affecting that government. The Russian support is that it's inconsequential to the survival of the Assad regime. As long as the Syrian regime will muddle through, it will do so primarily for internal reasons, not because of Russia's support, which will go back to what I said before of how strength in numbers. Third, the modern Syrian opposition is affecting that governing. The evidence is, first, Syrians in many opposition-controlled areas have already established forms of governments, including more than 400 local administrative councils, plus 9 at the provincial level. Second, Western funding over the last 4 years has generated a wide array of externally based but Syrian-staffed non-governmental organizations. Third, the local administrative councils and non-governmental organizations are receiving significant support from Western donors, meaning tougher corners for accountability and transparency. Now, as I stated before, the U.S. is the single biggest donor that has been aiding the Russians, the Iranians, and the Syrian rebels that want to stand up for the world and show the Assad regime that we're a force not to be dealt with. Because as I've stated in my earlier speeches, this is like the standard bully victim scenario, with the Assad regime being the bully trying to push its way around and the free countries being the helpless little kid. But it shows that if you stand up with one another as friends, you know that you can, for once, defeat the bully, which makes the U.S. a power broker. Then, finally, the Russian intervention has not been focused on ISIL. On a report on November Post said 85 to 90% of Russian strikes in Syria have hit moderate Syrian opposition. The top U.S. diplomats for the Middle East told the top U.S. diplomats told the Middle East on a congressional committee on Wednesday. So the Russian intervention not being affected on the Islamic State is huge because they don't want to start a war either, just like the U.S. They didn't address. Okay. So basically that's good in our part. That's just good in our part altogether. Because this shows that if the Syrians that want to start World War III and make the world a worse place, this will just show that we're not a threat to be taken lightly. That we know we will destroy them by whatever means necessary.